on YouTube and on our Paradigm webinar. Welcome everybody for joining us. It's very kind of you to give up your time. I hope you'll find it valuable, and I hope you're having a relaxing evening, and thank you so much again for taking the time out. So I'd like to give a huge welcome to my guest, Michelle Anderson, who has very kindly agreed to spend some time with us from all the way down under in New Zealand. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, thank you.
So I've got an echo on there, haven't I? How do I turn that off? Somebody else's maybe. Can you hear that?
I can hear it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Hope everybody can live with that. So we're a bit new to this, or I'm a bit new to this, so bear with us. So we'll get straight into things, as we've got a fair bit to cover in a fairly short space of time, and I want you all to get as much value as possible from this. So paradigms, mindsets, habits, all different words for the way your subconscious controls your body and your life. How do they affect your life? How can you change them? More importantly, how can you control them so they benefit you rather than hinder you? Between us, I hope Michelle and I can give you some insights into this fascinating subject. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. Briefly, Michelle, for those who don't know, can you tell us how you got into the online business and maybe how you think your paradigms affected you in the beginning?
Yeah, for sure. So I started online about 2 years ago, and it was really interesting because I wasn't a huge believer in personal development. I thought that, you know, I knew enough to be able to build a business. And I started online because my husband had actually lost his job, and as a stay-at-home mum of 2 young boys, I was seriously thinking I was going to have to go back to work. And then I came across a webinar very similar to this one, and connected with a sponsor, connected with a mentor, and started blogging my way to riches, I guess, so to speak. But what I found is that I really struggled to get momentum on my previous business, and it wasn't until I connected with a mentor who really specialized in quantum physics where I was able to turn my business around and turn my results around. So all I needed to do really was to drop my ego, surrender my pride, and be coachable, and to start taking seriously into mindset work. And it's something that I practice on a daily basis, and it's certainly given me results both personally and also for my business.
Great. I must admit that's one of the things that I find, that having the discipline to have the willpower, the willpower to do the things you need to do on a daily basis, because as my mentor keeps telling me, repetition is key all the time.
It is, because it takes a few weeks to develop a habit. So once you get into the habit of doing the mindset work, whether it's your affirmations, your visualizations, reading empowering books, I highly recommend Ask and It Is Given by Esther Hicks, because that's very, talking about the vortex and quantum physics, and just, on a daily basis, even if it means getting out half an hour earlier just so you can get it in, but it just sets you up for the day.
That's right. And I think also films like Down the Rabbit Hole and even The Secret, which was around, some 10, 12 years ago now, has widened that subject to more people than used to be.
Absolutely.
I talked about on a post recently about a book that set me going, which was it was actually a course based on a book called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. And I still go back to that book now, because that's some of the fundamentals of the whole thing. And I followed on with several others recently, one by Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza, the changing the habit of being you,
Yes.
which I've now found is just amazing. So I'm well into that at the moment. At what point, Michelle, do you think the law of attraction and vibration was really your core, if you like? At what point did you use it the most to bring your business up to where you wanted it to be?
I had to allow myself to have a breakdown before I had a breakthrough. I was going through a particularly challenging personal patch in my life, and I just had to surrender myself. And my mentor said, just give it up, go into the bush and just yell that you surrender. And it's okay to have that breakdown, to release the Pandora's box, as we call it, to open that up and to be able to cry, because once you go to, that will just take you to the next level as you experience that shift. And once I had that and just not gave up, but surrendered who I was and dropped my ego, and that's when things turned around. And it actually happened really, really quickly. I was completely surprised, but I just had a new outlook on my life, on where I wanted to go personally, which then created the results in my business. So by focusing on me and how I could serve others, just turn things around.
Because it is all from the core of you, isn't it? Unless you're centered in yourself, unless you know exactly what you want within yourself for yourself, it's very hard to know what to focus on outside and what route to take.
Absolutely. And they say mindset, it's 80% mindset. Some people will say it's 95% mindset and 5% is strategy. So whatever percentage you take, it's really, really high. So it's mindset is so important. And for me, I had a lack mentality. I was always worried. I was always worried about where was the next dollar going to be coming from. But when I turned that around to one of abundance, and when the bills were coming in, I would look at those as checks being deposited into my bank account as opposed to money coming out of my bank account.
That's a real turnaround. I need to develop that one.
So, oh yay! I've got a check for $1,000.
Definitely need to develop that one. Excuse me. I've managed to get rid of the echo, so it had a tab open, so that should be settling down now. So what do you do on, sorry, I've jumped ahead of question. How long before you started to see results? I mean, you mentioned that once you'd surrendered your pride, given yourself up to things, that you noticed it coming very quickly. For those who, very quickly can be a year or less. I mean, what kind of time span are you talking about?
So what I ended up doing is I changed business platforms and I connected with my mentor, and I started rolling out a new business, and I got my results within the first week. So I wasn't attached to the outcome. I was looking at, again, working on myself and looking at how I could serve and help somebody else by tapping into, what their pain was and what their passion was. And when I rolled out the business and the campaign that I was doing, instantly I had a lot of people coming to me wanting to know more. What is it that you're doing? And I'd been really quiet on the business front because, as I mentioned, I'd been struggling. They were like, what is it? And then it took on a life of its own. It created, that momentum. So for me, I would say within the first month of having that breakdown, to have that breakthrough, it's when things definitely turned around for me, and just keep continuing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's encouraging I think for people who have been struggling for years and don't ever see an end result, to know that if they can just get a handle on what it is they actually need to change within themselves, maybe follow one or two of the suggested paths by the likes of Jack Canfield, the likes of Bob Proctor, even Tony Robbins. There's plenty around there that can tell you where to get started and how to do this to actually change your life around, and plenty of examples of people who've done it.
Definitely. And for us, what I needed to do was mirror work, and it was quite foreign at the time to actually, I put a note on my mirror to tell myself that I love myself, and to look in like the rear vision mirror of a car at my 5-year-old self and say that it's all okay, and that I love myself, and to be able to say that 10 times out loudly. And when I first started doing it, I was like really quiet because I didn't want my husband and kids to hear. And then I was like, I just need to step into my power and be comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. So I just had a conversation with them and I said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my mirror work. And then I had my proclamations up, above the sink where I was doing my dishes every day because we didn't have a dishwasher. So I was saying then, I am creative, I am powerful, I am a leader. And again, it feels really strange, but once I gave myself permission to do that and told my family that this is what I'm doing, to be able to just forward, then it was all okay. And it was really interesting because my 7-year-old, he's like, Mummy, you are a leader. So it was so, it was
lovely.
So,
That's true validation, isn't it?
Yeah. Anything your 7-year-old says, oh, you're doing a good job.
Absolutely. So what do you do on a daily basis to keep yourself in the right vibration for those results? I mean, you presumably carry on with that?
I do. I have meditation on at the end of every night when I go to bed, and admittedly I fall asleep. So I always listen to, I have a few people that I go to, but I tend to listen to Bob Proctor.
Mm-hmm.
He has a meditation called The Paradigm Shift, and there's a 16-minute one, or there's a 45-minute one. So every night I'll put that on. And every morning when I wake up, I just spend a moment of being grateful for what I have in my life. I do some affirmations. I do a visualization. I have a 3D vision board. So, that's, for those of you who don't know what a vision board is, it's like a dream board, but it's actually being created 3D, which is more powerful than just putting pictures on a board.
Yeah,
and
I'm still working on mine.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful, that. And I also write a journal, just any thoughts that pop into my head, and a little bit of exercise or some meditation. So I spend an hour every morning on personal development, and I do set my alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning. So by 6 o'clock I'm finished, and then I'll do some business. And because I've got young children, they could be up at 6 or 6:30. So
yeah, after what you were just telling me are going to be around you quite a lot over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it was a push, obviously, to wake at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I just did it. Yeah.
And I think that's what you have to do, is you just got to just get on with it. If that's what you want, that's what you've got to do.
Absolutely. And it just puts yourself up for the day.
Yes, I can imagine. I can imagine that would make you feel really good about yourself for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
What 3 things would you recommend that newbies in this sort of thing concentrate on when starting out in this business? What 3, out of all the things that you do and have done, what top 3 things would you say would be a good place to start?
I would definitely tap into some empowering books like Ask and It Is Given by Esther Abraham Hicks, because what you put out there, even with your thoughts, is what you're going to get back. So it's a case of changing those thoughts around, because we're all energy, it's all vibration. Even if you're putting a post on Facebook, have that energy behind it, because if you're feeling down when you're putting a post on, even if it's a motivational post, that energy is actually transferred out there. So I definitely recommend reading a book. Also, I recommend meditation. Having that quiet time to yourself, whether it's a few minutes in the morning or whether it's a few minutes at night. And I always listen to guided meditations as opposed to, but I do sit quietly in the morning and just breathe, and just focus on my breathing. And then at night I'll listen to a guided meditation. And also affirmations or proclamations are very powerful as well. And what are you wanting to get out of your life, or stating I am powerful, I am a leader.
Yeah. Do you find the guided meditations work better? Because I must confess, like you, if I was to do meditation at night, I would be asleep. It would tend to take over, and I would be gone.
It does work, because subconsciously it will still be absorbed. Even Bob Proctor will talk about that. You know, if you're falling asleep, it is still going to be tapping into your
Right.
subconscious mind, which is what you want. And another really good meditation to listen to is Paul Santisi, and he has what's called, I think, the binaural beats. So you actually need to wear earplugs,
Yeah.
to be able to listen to that. And his are about an hour long. But again, you know, you listen, but you're falling asleep because it's the different trances that you go into. And I don't know, it just seems to work.
Well, it's worked for you. Definitely worked for you.
Exactly. And I just, you know, give myself permission. It's okay to fall asleep. So I always do it lying down. And Paul Santisi will, you know, he has nighttime ones. You know, there's one called Lucid Dreams, or, you know, ones of abundance. And you recommend lying down and staying still, yeah, and just listening.
It must be easier to stay still if you lay down as well.
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're sitting up, you fidget, don't you? Sort of moving your legs and, you know, wriggling around.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What recommendations would you give? And this might be kind of a repeat, but for those still struggling to see results, for those who've been, you know, beavering away, doing all the free stuff on Facebook and the other social media, and they're still struggling to see results, what would be your main recommendation to them to maybe give themselves a kick up the backside, if you like, to, you know, maybe try a different route? Or
yeah, definitely. It probably comes from a lack mentality.
Yeah.
You know, worrying about, you know, you're looking at getting results as opposed to wanting to help people. So if you're looking at, for example, in our business, you know, where we earn the 1K commissions, if you're constantly looking at someone, like every conversation you have, you're like, oh, I'm going to make 1K, and it doesn't happen, and then you feel down about it. It's to not be attached to the outcome, and just go, you know, how can I help this person if I'm going to tap into their pain and find out what their passion is, and then be able to move on from that. So it's really to learn about turning that lack into one of abundance, and that's where the book Ask and It Is Given is really, really powerful, to, you know, work on those exercises there, and just telling yourself that you are worthy and you deserve greatness, and to step into your power, because everybody's got, you know, the power inside of them. And if you know, if you're worthy, then you can step into your power and step into a leadership role, just like you're doing. You know, you're hosting webinars, you're hosting hangouts, and it's important to follow the formula. And it doesn't matter what business you're in, what online business. Every business has a formula that is successful, where people get results. And if they say, your mentor says that you need to watch a training video 6 times, you need to do that, because a paradigm shift will happen. Okay, so and that's where a lot of people are like, oh, 6 times, seriously, they're an hour long. But
it does take time, certainly. It definitely takes time.
It does. For me, you know, I would sit down the first hour and I would listen. The second hour I would take notes, and the third time I would just have it playing in the background while I was doing some housework, or I'm doing the dishes, and then just go back to, you know, certain aspects of it and go, oh, you always pick up something new.
That's true. It's a bit like when you watch a movie over and over, isn't it? You see different things and time around you watch it. I've found that with a lot of our mentors, Darren and Ari's videos, that the more I listen to them, the more I notice that they actually say the same things in each video, albeit it's on a different initial topic. The more you get into it, they are saying exactly the same things. They're just saying it in a different way. And I guess that is kind of the basic rule of any business. and especially the selling side of business, that you're going to say something to your customer, and then you're going to repeat it in a different manner, and then you're going to summarize it in a different way again, because each time you're making the point, but because you're A, telling stories, and you're moving around the subject in different ways to engage, people take more notice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's about building rapport with people, because it's a friends for life program.
Absolutely.
And another key book I love is Natural Selling by Michael Oliver. So it just takes that selling side out of it, that pitching and benefits business model, and it's really an extension of what we're taught by Darren and Ari.
It is, and he's always saying, this is a people business. This is not about, as you say, pitching the benefits and features of whatever business you're in, whatever product you want to peddle, however you want to do it. It is about what the pain is of the person you're talking to.
Exactly.
Yeah. And sort of moving into a slightly more technical bit, what 3 helpful or useful software programs would you recommend to help automate some of the daily processes for running an online business, and not necessarily this particular business, but any online business?
You need to find what social media platform is going to work for you, and learn that one, stick to one. So if you're wanting to do free marketing because you don't have an advertising budget, then use Facebook. Learn how to create rapport with people, like and comment on people's posts, engage with them. Or perhaps you want to master Instagram, but really focus on one social media platform first before you move on to the second one.
Right.
And if you're
good advice.
And if you're wanting to capture people's details on a list, it's important to have a sales page. So you have create what's called a sales page or a capture page, which then takes people through to an autoresponder. So that would be the 3 key things: is to know which platform you wish to work on, which capture page business system that you want to use. I personally use ClickFunnels, and then what autoresponder. So that's where you're capturing people's names and email addresses, and where you're going to be sending them regular emails, so you can invite them to a Facebook group, or invite them to a hangout, or invite them to a business webinar. And I use Aweber for that. So
I use that one. It's good.
Yeah, so that'd be your three main tools. And then on a side for yourself, if you're wanting to be doing hangouts, because it's important to step into that leadership role, then you want Google Hangout, which is done through YouTube, and also know how to set up Zoom, which Zoom is a free meeting platform, so you can be training your business partners on that. So they're my 5 key.
3 to 5 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, I think you can master even half of those. You go a long way to helping yourself out with this whole business, with this whole lifestyle, really.
Definitely, and it's not something you need straight away, but you need a social media platform that you want to work off of, and then the rest just comes along with it. So.
Yes, and I find I've been on Facebook almost since it began back in 2007, 2008, whenever it was first around, and probably never really used it as much as I have done in the last year.
Yeah.
I've been on it all that time. But I'm now finding I use it a great deal more, and to a certain extent a lot more profitably than it ever got used for before.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing. Even though Facebook is a free platform, but you can actually turn it into a business platform.
Yes, yeah, as Darren calls it, Facebook Lounge.
Yes, Facebook Lounge, Facebook ATM machine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, we've nearly had our half hour, believe it or not, Michelle. That time flies quite quickly when we're covering subjects we love, obviously. We got rid of the buzz eventually, so this will help when other people come along and watch later on, hopefully. I'd like to thank you very, very much for your time. I'm really grateful that all the way down under in New Zealand, you can link up with me. I find it fascinating that we can do this. I really do.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been great.
Yeah, hopefully the first of many.
Yes, for sure, for sure. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and for James. So, and have a fantastic festive season. Have you got snow over there?
No, we don't get snow in England. Only in Scotland.
Oh, you get
No, we've got very grey, dismal weather, and it can't decide whether it wants to be sort of miserably muggy or whether it wants to be cold. It's sort of yo-yoing between the two. Fog most of the time, very depressing. I'm sure it's much nicer down there.
It's summer, so we're gearing up for a very hot summer.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, thank you very much, Michelle. We'll wrap this up and we will set a date for another one sometime. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This webinar will be available for viewing later on for those of you who ducked out because of the echo on the beginning. We got rid of it, so you can come back and listen again. And we look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much.